by the account solution. You're welcome once again. So this is the Ask the Accountant webinar. Is powered by the Account Solution. The Account Solution is a dynamic learning platform that provides practical solutions to contemporary accounting problems. So in this platform, it's made up of accountants from various that cuts across profession. It's made up of accountants from diverse industries and in various career stages. So it provides a platform for mentoring and also to exchange knowledge. So once again, you're welcome. Last week, we were discussing on SAP. It's an interesting topic, SAP for every accountant. We explored different pathways, different opportunities that SAP provides for professionals. We had our speaker, Mr. Kelechi, and he did an amazing job. We were able to understand, he took us way back to see how the accounting has evolved from inception to date and the solutions that SAP is actually providing to the contemporary accounting problems. So there were a lot of questions that we couldn't take last week because of time, but I'm happy that today we are going to continue on the same topic. We're still looking at SAP and exploring the different opportunities that it provides for us. Today, we're going to be looking at how we can actually start up our career in SAP, looking at how to start up our career, different questions like what exam to take, how to prepare, how much, so all the questions to how to actually begin your career in SAP is what we are going to be focused on today. And we have a professional that will be taking that'll be answering all our questions today. So today it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Mr. Jumbo Igwe. He's a managing director and the CEO of DFC Infosystems Limited. Mr. Jumbo is a computer science graduate and he holds an MBA from the American University, Washington, DC, with expertise in artificial intelligence, robotics, and automation and leadership. He has competencies in the application of machine learning and neural network concepts, measurement of value proposition of machine learning across various vertical and value chain phases, application neural network and convolutional neural network used for image recognition, analysis of patterns in massive data sets using popular algorithms such as decision tree, clustering, and regression analysis, application of TensorFlow as one of the key machine learning algorithms to develop various models, development of roadmap for artificial intelligence, implementation across the value chain phases of different verticals. Mr. Jumbo is a shrewd local entrepreneur. So it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Jumbo. Mr. Jumbo, you're welcome to Account Solutions webinar. Over to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you for having me on this special webinar. Okay, so I'm just going to, the introduction has already been made. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we take a few slides, and then I'll also answer a few questions. Then each and every one of us will be given the opportunity to ask any question that we need more clarification on. So we're going to start and then by saying, okay, this is the SAP solution for every professional. Okay, so let's get to have a slight idea about SAP. Now, what is SAP? SAP stands for Systems, Applications, and Products in Data Processing. It is ERP that large organizations use to manage their business. So you have a couple of things here. You have ERP. What is ERP? ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. Now we are talking about large organizations. Now, if we talk about large organizations, we are referring to organizations that have large client database, large employee database, and different products. and services that they render. So for you to have such organizations that also have locations in various or branch in various locations, different countries, and all that, you can liken such organization as a large organization. So these large organizations can actually use this single application to manage their entire business. So that is what SAP stands for. Now, SAP is a German founded by former 5 IBM employees in the year 1972. So this application is not like it was developed yesterday. It has been in existence for 40 years plus, okay? And the name SAP is also the name of the application. Just like the name is used as a company, it's also used as the application itself. Now, SAP has over 100 million users, over 200,000 installations. That is for companies that are already using the application, and over 2,000 partners like us that provide the training and certifications. It has over 21 industry solutions. Customers that use these applications are mostly Fortune 500 companies, although there are other smaller applications developed by SAP that small organizations can use. I'm going to address all that, okay? SAP is one of the largest software in the world and has different business areas. And these business areas are called modules, okay? So the next slide will now give us the opportunity to understand the different modules we have in SAP, and also who should actually engage or do what, okay? So now we have SAP modules. There are two types of SAP modules. We have the first one as technical modules. This module is for a certain set of people, okay? We're going to explain further. And then we'll have the functional modules, okay? Now, the technical modules will have SAP Basis. The SAP Basis module is the administrator of the SAP application. He is actually the one that does the installation before anything happens in the SAP project or in the SAP ecosystem. The Basis guy must do his installation. So when he finishes his installation, the other modules can come in and play. Now, this module also acts as a network administrator. So whenever the application has issue or users have issue, they call on this guy. This is like the IT person in the organization. It's usually assigned to the IT experts to handle this particular module because of the network-related activities that go through on this module. Then we have SAP ABAP. ABAP stands for Advanced Business Application Programming. This is actually the programming language that is used to develop the SAP application. So developers and programmers who are competent in SQL, Java, and most of these programming languages, they are the ones that actually run this particular module. So if you are asking, oh, who should do SAP ABAP? It should be somebody that is a programmer that has knowledge of programming languages and all that to be able to learn SAP ABAP and then understand and then use it. So this is the person that does the connections. There are some templates that will be created, some programming work, and some conditions that will be given to the SAP application to, carry out its function. So it's the ABAP person that actually does all that. Then we have SAP NetWeaver. NetWeaver helps to connect business users to the SAP application in real time. Okay, I help link the SAP application to other social media platforms and mobile devices. Okay, so these are the three major SAP technical modules. There are other ones that some experts may liken to be SAP technical modules, but if you take a closer look, you find out that those also fall into different modules. So, but the basic three technical modules we have in SAP are SAP Basis, ABAP, and NetWeaver. Now, you have the functional modules. Now, all the modules we're going to be looking at here are all functional modules. Okay, aside those three, every other modules you see in SAP, just liken it to as functional modules. Now, at the end of this slide, every participant in this webinar should be able to know which SAP module that is suitable for him or her, or if someone asks you that he or she wants to run an SAP application or training, you should be able to advise the person on the right module that he or she should take. I'm going to take a little time to explain who takes what and then what module is suitable for any profession. So for financial accounting module FI, this is the module that is dedicated to accountants. So if you're an accountant, you did accounting in school, you're a chartered accountant, okay, this is the right module for you, because in today's world, if you do accounting in school and you go as far as being chartered without SAP, your competition is going to be very high, because virtually every top management that is dedicated to accountants is run by SAP professionals, which means you must have SAP financial accounting skill to be able to handle those positions, because those organizations, they will be using SAP. Because I can mention 10 different organizations that we all know in this country, in Nigeria and overseas, that are all using SAP. So if you want to be able to work with such organizations, you need to be SAP compliant. So this module is for accountants, and it is the most valuable module in SAP functional module. Once the implementation team do their implementation by installing the application, and ABAP does his programming, and every other thing is set for the system to start connecting the functional module, this is the first module that must be implemented. If the financial accounting module is not implemented, the other modules cannot be implemented. This is because there are parameters and configurations that the financial accounting module needs to do that other modules will have to depend on. Okay, so financial accounting module is the most valuable module in SAP in terms of the first phase of the configuration. Now we have controlling. The controlling module is also part of the accounting module, okay? This module is for managerial purposes, okay? Let me just mention that in financial accounting module, you have terms like GL account, you have the chart of accounts, you have things like account payable, account receivable, you know. So all these terms, all these things are all configured in the financial module accounting package, okay? While in controlling, you have things like profit centers, cost centers, you know. So these are more of managerial activities that take place in controlling module, okay? Now, it is usually advisable that any accountant that wants to do SAP, the accountant should do financial and controlling. But if he is unable to do both, he should be able to do financial accounting. Material management, MM. Like I always tell our students, material management module is the most viable module in SAP. This is because it creates different departments, different activities, different responsibilities in SAP. Management is that module that takes care of inventory management. Some people will call and say, oh, I want to do inventory management, or I want to do procurement or logistics. These are all sub-modules in material management. So in material management, you have things like inventory management, supply chain activities, all the things that happens in supply chain activity takes place inside material management. Then you have procurement, you have logistics and all that, okay? So this module, anybody can actually do materials management. Whether you're an accountant, you did economics in school, or you are into warehousing, or anybody can actually do material management, because you may just be given a particular activity to do, a particular function. So once you are given that responsibility, just for you to use it, and then you can go ahead with it. Okay, so material management can actually be done by anyone, but you actually need to know where you want to take your career to, what parts you want to build in your career. Okay, then you can do material management, because there are lots of things that you can achieve in material management. Then we'll have human resources or human capital management. Okay, so this is the module that manages employees. Okay, this module manages department, creates departments. This module that hires. This is the module that also pays, runs your payroll and pays workers at the end of the month. Okay, so human resources. So for those people who did things that has to do with human resources, human capital management, or that like managing people, and they can do human resources. Business intelligence. This is that SAP module that tries to bring out business meanings from the SAP system, because as you keep using the different modules in SAP, the data is being stored in the system. So the business intelligence module has a way of going into the system to extract this data, do data analysis, data mining, and then all that to generate reports. Okay, so this module can give you different types of reports in SAP, because there is a way you can go into the system, you get all the functions from the system, the tables, and they connect them together to generate outstanding report and also customized reports. Okay, so who should do SAP business intelligence? Anyone, any computer science person should be able to do business intelligence, because you have a little programming work to do in business intelligence in terms of doing some table selection and all that. Okay, so business intelligence is that. You can just liken business intelligence as that reporting module in SAP. Then we'll have production planning, PP. Production planning is also called manufacturing. Okay, they are usually interwoven, manufacturing or production planning. So this is the SAP module that helps in running production or manufacturing. So for any organization that is into manufacturing, they should be able to use production planning to run their manufacturing processes or production processes. Okay, so anyone that has interest in this area should be able to do production planning to be able to fit into the production or manufacturing industry. Then we'll have plant maintenance. Plant maintenance, just like the name implies, is that SAP module that manages large facilities. For organizations that have plants, rigs, platforms, or large equipment, what they use to manage those large facilities is plant maintenance. So any engineer or a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, or anyone that is mechanically inclined should be able to do plant maintenance, because this is the module that will give them the advantage to be able to work with these organizations to do things like preventive maintenance, curative maintenance, work orders, and all that. Okay, so what happens is all these large equipments that have their equipment connected together, so it helps you use plant maintenance to be able to know how to manage these equipments that are in the large facilities. Then we have project systems. Project systems is project management. So what you do in a single Primavera Pro application, you do it inside SAP in the module that is called project systems. So these project systems helps anyone that is into project management and all that to be able to manage their project. Okay, so all the activities that happens in a project, say for instance, an organization has been given a contract to construct a 20-kilometer road. Okay, so and let's say government has paid 40% of the total sum. So it is left for the project team to use SAP project system to be able to know what they will be able to achieve or what kilometer they will be able to achieve within that milestone. Okay, so project system helps in managing those projects. Now, sales and distribution. Sales and distribution in SAP is the module that takes care of sales. For organizations that are into sales, or for any sales rep, anyone that is into marketing or sales, should be able to do SAP sales and distribution. This is where all the sales activities and customer management take place in SAP. Okay, so this module is specific for sales and distribution of products to customers. We have customer relationship management. Customer relationship management is that SAP module that helps manage customers. As customers, come with their requirements and their needs and their complaints, the customer relationship management module helps to manage this business. So anyone that is inclined in customer relations and customer management should be able to do SAP customer relationship management. Then we have quality management. Quality management helps in managing different quality access points and all that data entry, in order to make sure that the use of the application and also the data that is being entered into the database, that everything has the right entry, and it also helps in maintaining data integrity. Okay, so anyone that is into maybe data analysis or someone that likes playing with data and also with some level of quality assurance inclination should be able to do SAP quality management module. Okay, so these are a few of the modules. There are other modules that are split in different forms that were also generated from these ones. Okay, but as you start your SAP journey, you understand how these modules are all integrated. Okay, now let's look at the SAP system landscape. The SAP application runs on what is called server-client relationship. Okay, so there must be a server somewhere, whether it is on-premise or in the cloud, right? So there must be a server somewhere, and there will be other smaller servers connected, then the final user who is now the client. Okay, so this is why the SAP application is not actually limited by location, because if your server is domiciled in the UK and you have a branch in Nigeria or Ghana or South Africa, you are all connected to the same source. So even if someone in Nigeria was carrying out a particular function on the system, and eventually you need to pass it to a colleague in a different location, that can be done with a click of the mouse. Okay, so the relationship that the SAP application runs on is what is server-client relationship. And we have why SAP has been successful over time. So let's look at one of the reasons why SAP has been successful over time. The SAP application runs on what is called, like I said, server-client relationship, right? Then it runs on real-time processes with an integrated suite of client-server applications. Okay, now we have this. SAP is very comprehensive. So the SAP application, once it is implemented, it is comprehensive. Then it fully integrates business processes. So you have different business processes that are all integrated together. The SAP application has modular structure. That is why we have those different modules: financial accounting, material management, and so on. So it has a modular structure. The SAP application is international, and yet it is consistent. So it's not like it's an African thing. Oh, I learned SAP in Africa and it is the African version. No. If you learn in Africa, in Nigeria, if you go to UK, you go to US, it is the same thing. It provides maximum flexibility and scalability. So now this enables organizations to be able to tweak the SAP application to suit their requirements, but they need to follow what is called international best practices, right? The SAP application has backbone for future technologies, okay? This is because SAP is very dynamic, so it gave room to developers. Any developer that comes up with an interesting application that can be plugged into SAP, SAP can actually certify it and then plug it as an add-on to the SAP application. So that is why it is said that SAP has strong backbone for future technologies. Now, the integration, I want to show us a landscape on how the SAP application works. Because it's an ERP, ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. So ERP is a central system, okay? When you say a system is central, it means there are different applications that are connected to that central system. So each of them must connect to one another. So the SAP application, those modules we mentioned earlier, they are all present in this place, working together. For instance, let's start from the left side. We have production. Production can be made for a particular product, and that product can be sold, right? The arrow that goes to FI/CO means payment is going into the company, right? But some products can also be produced and it will be sent to SD. SD stands for sales and distribution. This means that the SD expert or person will have to raise a sales order for the customer, right? So once this sales order is raised, the customer can make payment and it comes to FICO, right? But there are some products that the SD module will want to raise sales order. Before he will do that, he will have to consult material management, to know whether this product is available. So all what you see in this column is the material management module. So once the salesperson contacts MM will go and check for material requirement planning, MRP, okay, to know whether this material actually exists, right? Now, let's take, for instance, a TV manufacturing company. A TV manufacturing company has received an order to supply 20 television. But when they check their store, they found out that they have just 5 pieces, right? So what will happen is that in this place, you have purchase requisition and purchase order. Now, what will happen is that the purchase requisition personnel will have to make a request, right, for either 20 televisions to be purchased and supplied to the customer, or they will get the raw materials required to produce 20 televisions or the 50 remaining ones, right? So once that item is requested for, it will be, it will go through purchase order. The purchase order will now raise a purchase order for vendor to supply, whether it is the television or the parts that is required to produce the remaining 15 televisions. Now, in the case of an outright purchase, right, the item will come in and it will go into goods receipts, okay, which means they've received the item, okay. Then this arrow that goes to the front means they can now make sales because, yes, the item came already prepared. But if the items that were requested for was raw material that needs production, it will go into goods receipts, which is the store. Yes, I've received this item. It goes into stock and consumption account updates. Then it will be moved to production, where these TV will be produced, and then it can now be sent back to sales and distribution, and then payment to be made. So this is what happens in the SAP application. In here, we have about 4 to 5 modules that we can see physically, like the production module, which is same as manufacturing, the sales and distribution module, the FI module, the controlling module, and the MM module. But there are other modules that are still working in this place, but we cannot see them. Modules like human resources is working here because he's the one that supplies the personnel that work in the different departments, and then their time shift and all that. The plant maintenance module is also working here because he's one that is managing this production facility to make sure that each of the components are working perfectly well. So you see, each of these modules are all working together, right? Like I usually tell students, if you are an SAP professional, you work independently and yet collectively. When we say independently, it means that there are some things, some functions that you need to carry out as a professional in that module, right? Now, when we say dependently, it means there are other functions or parameters you need from other modules to be able to also work, right? So that is how the SAP application works. Now, let's look at the benefits of using the SAP application. The main business benefit of using the SAP application is that you get a comprehensive set of integrated cross-functional business processes. Just like the slide we left now, this slide means you have production. Production is a business process of its own. Sales and distribution is a process on its own. Accounting, MM, they are all different business processes, but the SAP application helps to bring all of these business processes into one platform. Okay, so that is why we have this benefit. Let's look at other benefits. SAP application gives total visibility. This means that any organization that is using SAP, they will have total visibility, that is insight into their business. The employees that are also working there will have insight into what is happening in the organization, because everything is documented, everything is well structured. They have different processes. If you want to employ, you must pass through the process. If you want to purchase any item, you must go through the process of requisition and go through the process of RFQs and the process of supplies, the raising of purchase orders, and then all that, and invoice verification. These are things that must take place. If you don't go through this process, it means you are not using the application very well. So it gives total visibility into the organization. It improves reporting and planning. Okay, you will have well-documented reports. Any kind of report that you desire, you can generate it in SAP according to the module that you are implementing. It gives complete customization. Like I said earlier, organizations can actually tweak the SAP application to suit their organization and their mode of operation, but they need to follow international best practices. It improves efficiency and productivity. Look out for any organization that is using SAP. I'm not talking about those organizations that manipulate it and boycott and then just implement one module and use it for payment and then and leave other things. Any organization that is using SAP to run their daily activities, look out for them. You will see that they have efficiency and they have high productivity. Data security and quality. Application provides data security and gives a good quality of the usage. It improves financial management and corporate governance. I usually say this, any country that wants to actually, fight corruption should use SAP. That is just as simple as that, because the SAP application will help, cut all the excesses and everything will be done accordingly. Now, SAP users level. Let's look at the different users level in SAP for anyone that wants to venture into SAP, to build his career, the SAP application will have the end user level. This end user level, they are the users, they are the operations people. They are the ones that run the day-to-day activities of the organization. Okay, so for you, if you walk into a company, you say, I want to receive my payment. That payment that you're receiving is just the end user that will just generate the payment and then they will pay you. Petty cash, those activities. Oh, you want to supply this. Okay, somebody that will receive it. Those are end user level activities. So you have the end user for anyone that just wants to, oh, I don't want to go deep into the SAP application. Let me just do something that will give me the room to be able to work, in the organization, and then carry out my activities. So you do the SAP end user level for any module that you want to, actually, engage in. Then we'll have the super user level. This super user level gives you the opportunity to be able to create. You'll be able to do some, customization. You'll be able to create some fundamental functions. Okay, so anyone that is doing super user level is already doing the work of the super user and also the work of an end user. Okay, so you can do the super user level if you want to gain a little bit of advanced knowledge in SAP on a particular module. Then we have the consultant level. The consultant level is the person that can actually work with consultants once the basis and ABAP person have done their installation and configuration. The consultant for any module can actually go and start configuring the functional modules from scratch, right? So if you are a consultant on financial accounting, it means once the SAP application has been installed and ABAP has done its programming, you can actually go in and configure the financial accounting module. Okay, so the consultant can configure, he can create, he can delete, he can also use. Okay, the work of a consultant covers super user level and end user level. Okay, so these are the three different levels in SAP, right? For end user level and super user level, you don't need the exams. You don't need to write the exam there. But to become a consultant, you need to write exam for any module that you are becoming a consultant for. Types of SAP applications. So it is also good for us to actually understand the different types of SAP applications, because most people just think that SAP is just one application, but there are different applications, for different level of organizations. Okay. Now we have the SAP Business One. This SAP must implement SAP will have to pay hundreds of millions of naira or dollars, So SAP had to step down the application to make it user-friendly for mid and small size businesses. Okay, so this particular application now can now run in the cloud, but initially it was designed to run on premise. Okay, but now you can actually, get SAP Business One in the cloud. Then the second one is SAP Business by Design. SAP Business by Design is similar to SAP Business One, but it was primarily designed to run in the cloud. You can't implement SAP Business by Design on premise. Okay, it was purely designed to run in the cloud. It's also for mid and small size businesses. Then we have the SAP ECC all in one, right? Now ECC stands for ERP Central Component. So when you hear of SAP ERP, this is what usually referred to ECC, right? SAP ECC, this is the SAP ERP you usually hear of. Okay, this is the one that you hear about, some things like transaction code and all that. Okay, when you have transaction code, when you just see any SAP application that you need to use transaction code, know that you are referring to SAP ECC. Okay, for these two modules, SAP Business One and SAP Business by Design, these two modules are like more of drag and drop kind of interface. That is what they have. Okay, so you just click and then you drag and then you drop, you do your stuff, you type, and most of the modules are all together. So you just link to one. So the one that you are proficient in, you can just use it, you know. So that is how the SAP application works. Then we have the SAP S4 HANA. It is called the in-memory database. That's an in-memory database. So this is actually the future of SAP. This is the future of SAP because in 2030, SAP all-in-one ECC will be phased out, right? It was supposed to be phased out in 2025, but I think SAP had to extend it. Okay, so most organizations are now going for SAP S4 HANA, right? So SAP S4 HANA is the future of SAP because it has a lot of things it can, help organizations achieve, and then also yes. So if you are considering building a path in a career in SAP, you might start with SAP ECC, but just bear in mind that you also need to upgrade to S4 HANA, right? Then we have types of SAP. Oh, okay, we're done here already. Okay, so at this moment, I would like to answer some frequently asked questions that people usually ask. Okay, how do I do this? Where do I start? And then all that. So let's take those questions one after another. And then after this slide, we'll come to the end of my presentation. Then everyone can now begin to ask their questions for more clarification. So where do I start? Where to start is for you to have the passion, right? Once you have the passion, most people say, SAP is very broad, it's very difficult to understand. Most of those difficulties come from organizations that did not implement the SAP application properly, or organizations that did not give their employees enough time to learn and actually practice what they have learned to be able to use it. So most organizations even have to abandon the SAP application because they feel it's difficult. But if you have a good implementation team and a good instructor that teaches your personnel on how to use the applications, you will not have, in fact, it will be the sweetest thing you can do for your application. Okay, so where to start is having the passion and believing that you can do it. Okay, believing that you can do it. And then once you have that passion and then you believe that you can do it, then you now need to know where you want to come in from. Do you want to learn the SAP application to complement your already existing skills or experience or education? For instance, someone that did accounting in school, if you want to continue in the accounting industry, you want to build a career in accounting, you don't want to just go to school and do accounting and then you turn out to become a teller at the bank, or you go into oil and gas and start selling crude, and then, or you want to go into business or something else, leaving the accounting profession. If you did accounting in school and you want to build a strong and formidable in the accounting industry, you now need to do the SAP financial accounting module. So understanding where you are coming from, your experience, and wanting to get better, okay, is the most important thing. So once you are able to do that, you can now go back to that functional module slides. You start to say, okay, yes, I did this in school, or I want to venture into supply chain activities, or I want to go into human resources, human capital management. Then you cannot take up module that you want to learn. Now, once you've made that decision to pick the module, you can now decide to say, okay, what level do I want to get to? We just want to do the end user and then just become an operations guy in the organization, or down to do supervisor where I will be given, where I'll have room to be able to do some advanced things in the system, or you want to become a consultant, okay? So these are the questions you need to ask yourself. Once you are able to answer these questions for yourself, that is where you need to start from, all right? Number two, which ones need exam? I already mentioned that for end user, you don't need exam. For super user, you don't need the exam. This is because you will not be, end user and super user does not give you the detailed training, that will enable you to be able to sit for the SAP exam and write it and pass. So those two, they don't need exams. For any module, you did end user for material management or you did super user for material management, you will not be able to write the exam until you do the consultancy level training. So the consultancy level training is where you write the exam. So if you are going for the consultancy level training, you make sure you learn properly, you get all the details and all the information that is required, then you prepare and write the exam. Number three, which ones just need studies? Okay, end user, super user need studies. So you can just study them and then work with it. How long are the exams? Exams are usually, it's usually a one-day thing, barely 4 hours, okay? The exam certification does not expire. It's not like if you write this year, in 2 years' time, it will expire. No, it's for life, right? But if you are writing an exam, okay, I think that comes from the next question. How do you register to pay for the exams? Okay. I will take this and another question together. Now, how long are the exam? The exam is for life, right? Now, how do you register and pay for the exam? Now, there is an embargo. I can call it an embargo in Africa, the whole of Africa. SAP exam is usually very expensive for the whole of Africa. So, because if you go to SAP website and you are in Nigeria there, or you are in Ghana and you want to register for the exam, you will not be able to register, okay, because of the embargo. So if you want to actually register for the SAP exam in Africa, it may be costing you not less than $3,000, right? Because you have to pay for the SAP Hub, you have to pay for user ID, and you have to pay for the exam and all. So by the time you calculate all that put together, it will be going within 3,000 plus, right? So that is that. But there is a way we handle it, and we do it at a very subsidized rate for $1,000, right? So we can do the SAP. Once you do the training with us and we train you, and you want to write the exam, we guide you and then we do all the registration for you, and then within $1,000. Now, how many times can I write the exams with one payment? Now, that is why I wanted to take this. So the exam, you have the one that you pay for one exam, you have 6 different attempts, right? So you pay for one exam, you have 6 attempts. Although there is also one that you can pay and you get just one attempt. So this answers the question. So if you are paying for 6 attempts, means you have to exhaust 6 in 1 year, right? Within a year, you should be able to exhaust all those 6 attempts. Now, this is what happens. If you registered for financial accounting exam and you write at one sitting and you pass it, right? What it means is that you have 5 more attempts. You can actually take up any other modules, go through the training, and then just schedule the exam and then write. So you can do that if you write and pass at every sitting, you can do 6 different exams with one payment, right? Now, if you sit for a particular module and you write the exam and you fail, you take a second attempt, you fail, you have 3 attempts for one module, right? So you have 3 attempts for one module. So that is how it works. But those 6 attempts must be exhausted within a year. So if you are building a career and you want to really delve into SAP, you can study different modules and write the exams. Now, can someone start SAP journey without exam? Yes. A very big yes. You can do SAP end user and you can get a job with it. We've trained people, a couple of persons that didn't write the exam. Today they are working with good organizations, right? Most times, what most organizations are looking for is not the exam, it's not the exam result. They're looking for the capabilities. Will you be able to do what is you? Okay. So being able to use the SAP application, effectively is what most organizations are looking for. So if you have the knowledge without the exam, you can actually work anywhere, depending on what they actually look at for as well. Some organizations will actually ask you, will actually look out for certified professionals. Okay, so if they're looking for certified professionals, that means you need to write the exam to be able to work with them. But some organizations, people who have not written the exam but have the knowledge. One module and get a job. Yes. Learn any module. Just how to use that. So that when you are interviewed, you should be able to demonstrate that you can use the application. How do I practice and learn when I am not working? Yes, you can practice and learn when you're not working. You have access to the application. We have an online version that
Hello, Mr. John Bull. I think your voice is now very low.
Okay, so how do I practice and learn when I am not working? You can actually subscribe to the online version where you can be paying monthly to practice, or you can also get the offline version that can be installed in your laptop, right? So that way you can always practice with the application. How do I get the software? Yes, you can get the software. You can contact us. We can get the software across to you. If you want it on a laptop or you want the online version, we can, help you get it, right, at a cost. All right. So these are a few of the questions I'm able to answer now. I don't know if anyone has any question, to ask, and we can continue from that. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jumbo. You really did an exhaustive work in answering all of these questions. If anyone on the platform has a question, please, this is the time you can ask questions. We still have about 6 minutes to the end of this webinar.
Thank you, Mr. Jumbo. The question I want to ask is, okay, you've answered the question of working, not working, and you are SAP end user. How do I prove to a company that I am an end user? I just learned maybe receivables now under FI. I know the receivables, so I'm an end user. How do I prove no job, no work experience, just finished university, and I just went to meet you, learned SAP receivables only, practice online. How do I prove that I'm an SAP user, end user? Then for super users, must I know all the FI modules? There are 2 questions here now. For super users, to be a super user, should I know all the FI modules to be a FI super user, or I must know all the functional modules to be a super user, or I can know some FI modules, like if I know receivables, payables, and GL only, does it make me a super user? And again, without working, having experience, how do I prove to any company that I'm a super user and I can actually handle these modules? Those are my questions for now. Over.
Okay. Now, for you to prove that you are an end user or a super user, it's left for the organization that is employing you to test you, because they know what they are looking out for. For instance, if employing you and I'm interviewing you, aside from all the normal interviewers, rhetorics and then all that, me as a person, I'll ask you, okay, you say you did SAP end user, FI. Okay, I have XYZ items that I want you to do. Okay, so that is where you need to prove yourself. So if I say, okay, please, okay, as an SAP end user, FI, please go and raise a voucher. Okay, raise a voucher for payment of a petty cash, because those are end user functions, right? You should be able to go into SAP. You should be able to know how to log in, right? I'll give you the login details. You should be able to know how to log in, know how to navigate to that particular transaction that are going to carry out the function of raising a voucher, right? Or if the system is not there to do that test, right, practically, I can ask you the practical question, okay, what do you do to, raise a voucher? So you should be able to prove to me that, yes, you have actually done this, and then you can raise a voucher by going through this. I'll log in, I'll use either a transaction code. If you're using ECC, you can use a transaction code, or you can navigate through the menu part, to get through to financial accounting, and then through to drill down to the particular transaction and open it, and then enter the required parameters. So you should be able to just explain to me. So that is how you can prove yourself. The same thing applies to a super user. You should be able to prove yourself that, yes, you've done this. You should be able to lay down the process. Okay. Then the other question that is attached to the super user is that for you to become a super user, there are things you must do. Each of the modules have sub-modules. Actually, the difference between the super user and the consultant is not much. The difference between the super user and consultant is not, it's just a little thing, just very little. Mainly the exam tips, and then how to be able to really sit for the exam and pass. Aside from that, when I train on SAP super user, I'm giving you the consultant knowledge. But the things I will just exclude are the things that has to do with exam. Okay. So for SAP FI, we have different sub-modules under FI. Like we have the GL accounting, you have the asset accounting, you have different, about 5 different sub-modules that are under FI. You must complete it to qualify to become a super user. And then as a consultant too, you still need to complete all that with more knowledge on the exam aspect. Yeah, so that's your.
So invariably, you can be a super user in FI, you can be a super user in MM, super user in PD, just basically those functional. The functional module. Okay.
Let me come in here now. You know these things is industry specific. These modules are all industry specific. If you are doing all the functional modules, that means you are just acquiring knowledge. Because if you get into an organization, you are going to use just one module, and you won't be doing everything in that module. Do you understand? For instance, if you gain SAP super user knowledge on MM. When you get into MM, when you start working in an organization that is using MM, you won't do everything in MM. You will only be assigned some things to do, just maybe one or two. Those are just the things you are going to be doing, unless you're a consultant that will just be there to oversee and coordinate, right? Because the person that is making a requisition is different from the person that is raising an RFQ. The person that is raising an RFQ is different from the person that will be, going through all the contract to make sure that everything is in order. And the person that will be raising the purchase order is going to be different. The person that will be verifying or receiving the items, right, is different. That is the store person. Then the person that will be verifying the invoice from vendor is different. So these are specific things that needs to be done by different people. That is why the system has that integrity, right? So if you are building a career in SAP and you say you want to do FI, you want to do MM, you want to do S, it means you are actually doing a lot. You are building a career. Maybe you don't want to work for one person alone. You may want to be giving consultancy there, here and there, and then all that. But for someone who wants to shape his career, just to be able, you want to gain employment and then work, based on your profession or your experience and all that, you need to pick a particular module and learn that module so that when you go for interview or you are putting in for an employment, you know that, yes, you are applying for that particular role. So that is how the SAP application works.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jumbo. Thank you so much. You have done a good job in answering all our questions. For any other questions that we have, any other person that has a question, you can see Mr. Jumbo's contact is displayed on the screen. You can reach him directly. I'm sure he'll be very happy to answer any other question. And I can see that you run an academy, SAP Academy. So for everyone that is interested in having some training on SAP, you can also check that and get trained. So we've come to the end of today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining us again. This is the Account Solution Ask the Accountants webinar. We'll continue again with another interesting topic. Same time next week, 8 p.m. Please invite your loved ones to also benefit in this. This webinar has been recorded, and so you can find it on our Facebook platform. You can watch it over and over again and get all the information. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful evening. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.